Ladies and gentlemen, friends and family, much love to you all. I hope you are having a wonderful second day of your week. We are on the second day of our Creator's calendar. It is a moon day for those who are stuck in the Gregorian Babylonian work system, which most of us are, because all of us have been raised in captivity. And that's the thing about being raised in captivity. Most of us don't even know we were raised in captivity. But when we were raised in a world where the first 5 books of scriptures, Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy, weren't the focus of everything in our lives, then we've been raised as Gentiles. And we've been raised up in a Babylonian system. And sometimes it takes us all of our lives to ever come out of this Babylonian system. Sometimes it takes maybe never that we ever come out of this system. I know for my family, my direct family that is back in the States, when we first came into Torah, everybody rejected us. They rejected us because we didn't partake in their Christ Mass. We didn't partake in the Istar. We didn't partake in Thanksgiving or any of these other so-called holy days. And when we separated ourselves from the rest of our family, it was a tough thing. It was tougher for my wife than it was for me, because I've never exactly been really close to anybody except my immediate family. Those are the people that I love dearly, as the rest of the world lives and breathes straight up Gentile ways. And so as we are cruising through our captivity and waking up and coming to grips that there is a better way forward, and it's not the once saved, always saved doctrine. It's not the truth that is never found in religion. It is a truth that is found in these scriptures themselves. And when we turn our hearts and our minds and our souls over to the Torah, everything changes. And people are programmed to laugh at you. They're programmed to scoff. They're programmed to make you feel lesser than a human being because somehow they have found what salvation is. But they base a salvation on a doctrine that does not exist in scriptures. They ask Jesus into their hearts, and that's where they believe salvation is. And when you read scriptures, that doesn't exist. There's sporadic things here and there, but the true road to salvation is actually having your hearts circumcised with the Torah. When you circumcise your life and your world under the guise of the Torah, which means that you will not do anything if it ever crosses the ways of our Creator, life becomes different. Everything that we know operates differently. And it is within those beautiful words that are in the first 5 books of scriptures that we learn everything about the heart, mind, and soul of our Creator. And there's many people that will never ever grasp this. There's many billions of people that have found their own way forward. And it's going to be sad because everybody has been given a chance. And according to the book of the Nazarene, our Creator puts that little nagging feeling into your stomachs to where you are searching for something more than what you're searching for. And if you take that lead and you start going down that path and you actually start reading your scriptures, it becomes a different world and a different walk. And when you learn the Torah, it becomes a very amazing walk. It becomes something that you understand because there is a government of goodness and righteousness of Kodeshus that is on its way. There's already a government in a place that we can't even see, a realm that is called the Shamayim. And inside the realm of the Shamayim, there is a governor and there's a president. And our president, our creator, Yahuwah, those who call him God, has been replaced 7,000 times in regular scriptures. Well, he says there's a better way for us. And he says, if you want to be my people, I will be your Elohim. And people say, okay, that's good. I'll do that. But they never ask the question of what does it take to become a child of the Most High? And it's not asking Jesus into your heart and doing the old set and forget and thinking that you're never going to be doomed or damned when your last breath is taken. It is that you walk in obedience to the Torah, that you bend your knees to a higher power and a higher authority that trumps every other law that's out there. And so as we meander our way to the next kingdom, there's a lot of heart changes that every one of us need to go through. There isn't a single day that I don't wonder if I am going to ever make the kingdom. There's never a single day that I don't fear that my children won't make the kingdom. As we are in these last days of these last years of the 6,000 years that we have been given, there's a lot of delusions out there. There's a lot of things that we can get our time consumed on. And instead of reading scriptures, instead of praying, instead of praising our Elohim, we get off watching movies and TV and video games and trash and garbage, the stuff that consumes our hearts, minds, and souls. And when we were told that we need to walk with our Creator and that we need to love Him with every bit of our heart, mind, soul, strength, we need to know His Torah well enough that we think about it when we go to bed and when we rise up, that we walk along the road and we are thinking about the Torah. It becomes something that is frontlets between our eyes. Something that everything that we do, we would not do if it violates the commands of our Creator. So as we walk these lands, as we decide who to choose to worship, it is with that I would like to encourage all of you guys to read your scriptures. Don't take these big fellas that are in these pulpits that are sitting here lying to you on a Sunday, the day of the sun, Sol Victus, worshiping on a wrong day, taking your 10% as you think that you are paying your way into the kingdom to come. It doesn't work like that. What it does work like is a loyalty card by obedience. By our obedience, we are chosen and we are selected as the children of the Most High. And every single person that is out there has had the ability to choose righteousness or choose the ways of the devil. So guys, right before you, you're looking at a limited edition print of the Yah Scriptures. It is the big blue book. And when I say big blue book, it's big. Guys, we're talking nearly 7 pounds, 3,153 pages of restored names, Hebrew roots, scriptures. And it is something that, it's not even Hebrew roots. It's, a lot of people get fixated. Are you Hebrew roots or what are you? I'm a Torah keeper. If you need a label for something that you are, I believe in the kingdom to come. I believe in what our Creator says. I have seen and studied every one of these laws, and I believe in them. I believe in them enough to champion them to all of you guys, to beg you guys and to plead with you that there is a better way forward than the lies that we have been inherited. And as we come out of captivity, those who are coming out of captivity are becoming free when they keep the Torah. And so right before your guys' eyes is the Yah Scriptures. It is an incredible prison ministry that was an accidental prison ministry. It was something that I was trying to stop the hands of evil that have taken over the Torah community for over a decade and a half. And it is because of this that this scriptures was born, that this scriptures came to light, and that there have been over 2,000 different corrections based upon 2 different scriptures that these were hatched from. And this came from one of these, the ISR guys, the Institute for Scripture Research. They have a book called The Scriptures. And when you look and compare every one of these books, you can very much tell everybody was a different translator when they were assembling this book. And since English was not their first language, there is a lot of things in here, and there's a lot of names of the same guy in the same chapter that were written several different ways. And as we saw the errors in these, and we also saw the criminal enterprise of the Hallelujah Scriptures, it became very evident that we believed that we could do far better. And this is the greatest English translation you will ever find. There's nobody that's been able to dispute this. I have never had emails that come in that say this is trash. I've never had anybody be able to trump this saying that it is the greatest English translation you will ever find. And on top of this, we have a paperback version. And we are so deep into rolling this one out. Paper has been ordered. It is there. Payment has been sent in. We are now simply awaiting them to hit print. And we have the little versions of this that do not have the Apocrypha. Right now, they are $25. I believe it's going to be closer to $30 when we are done, but you can get the pre-order version of this right now. It will be available in a couple months from now. This is a smaller book, so it does not take very long to print the smaller ones. And so it is with that, guys. I can't thank you guys enough for being a part of Yah Scriptures. If you guys want the free versions of it, every version that we have is absolutely free of charge. You guys can go to YHWH.com. That is where you will find the downloadable versions, and it is the big blue book in digital. And the Google Play Store version of this is should be up in about 2 or 3 days. And so it is very, very close. Now what we're reading, brothers and sisters, friends and family, is we are reading the second book of Ezra. And I know the first chapter is going to be a little tough because we're going to be going over some names. But before we get into that, I want to talk to you really, really quick about the first book. Now, I've been dying to get into the second book of Ezra because in this book, we learn everything about life after our last breath in this realm. We learn about the accounting. We learn about what's going to happen. And this information was not given per se free. This cost our dear brother Ezra some fasting. This cost him some kodesha. It cost him the right, correct path to get this information that we can have this and be able to have these in these end times. Because it's real easy to get lost in this world and to just say, hey, we're going to die. Nobody knows when we're going to die. Nobody knows when we're going to take our last breath. None of us know when our old ticker is going to kick out or blow off in our chest and we're going to drop over dead. But that is where life begins, is at death. And this is why this book is very important. Now let's go over the first book of First Ezra. First, I have a little recap for everybody right here. I'm going to go through the first 9 chapters of First Ezra as quickly as I can so that get you guys caught up with this before we go into the next one. Chapter 1 of First Ezra, Yoshiyahu's righteous rule. King Yoshiyahu restored the Torah to Yahuwah. The Torah not to Yahuwah, but the Torah of Yahuwah. He cleansed the land of idols and he brought back the true worship in Jerusalem. And that was one of the very first Pesachs were being reborn. And they were keeping this up until they went into captivity. Some people were keeping it. A lot of people weren't. But this is the same appointed times all of us have in these days and age. Yoshiyahu was killed. He was killed by a pharaoh that was on his way doing the will of our Creator. And I remember the old movies from back in the day, the old satanic movies, Dragnet. I'm on a mission from God. That's what this pharaoh was on, and he told Yoshiyahu, hey, don't get in my way. Yoshiyahu got in his way, and he was killed. Something to very much consider when we are either in the will of our Creator or we are in the way of somebody with the will of our Creator. Our Creator's going to have his stuff done, and sometimes people have to die. Good people. Chapter 2, Koresh. The decree of Koresh of Cyrus. Yahuwah stirred up the spirit of Koresh, the sovereign of Persia, to allow the exiles to return to Jerusalem and rebuild the house of Yahuwah. And then the remnant of Yisrael and Yehuda, along with the priests and Levites, returned to Jerusalem with offerings and the treasures of the house of Yahuwah. Now, guys, we're only talking 2.2 tribes. We had the Levites, we had Yehuda, and we had Benjamin. Those guys were in captivity. The Levites, only a very small amount of the Levites came back and were working with this temple and doing this kind of stuff. Now, what happened to the rest of the 10 tribes of Israel? Well, according to scriptures, they're all in captivity. They're in captivity till the end of the ages, where people will start learning the Torah. They'll start teaching the Torah to their kids, to their families, to the people around them. And those who are keeping Torah are the ones who are accepted into the kingdom. By the words of our Messiah, when he says, "Depart from me, you who are lawless," the opposite of that is for those who are lawful. And you can either live in iniquity, and iniquity is simply violation of the Torah. You can live out of covenant of the Torah, and that puts you out of covenant. Very, very dangerous. Now, chapter 3 and chapter 4 was the contest of the 3 bodyguards. They decided who was going to be the wisest in the eyes of the king in an attempt to try to change history and change the way the temple was being rebuilt, and to change the people that were leaving exile, that were leaving their current captivity. And so Darius was moved by Zerubbabel's wisdom. He was one of the smart guys, smarter than the rest in terms of wisdom, supported by the hands of our Creator, as our Creator was absolutely doing this as his way forward. And it is because of Zerubbabel's wisdom that he was anointed as the king's right-hand man. The guy with all of this wisdom is the guy the king wants to have next to him. And part of his reward is, what do you want me to do for you? And Zerubbabel could have had anything. He could have reigned different things. He could have done something. But what he said is he wanted the king to keep his word. And the word that the king wanted to do was to make sure that the temple was rebuilt. And so because of that, chapter 5 is the return and the laying of the foundation. The census of the returnists. The heads of the fathers' houses were listed, along with the men of Israel who returned to Jerusalem. And then the foundation of the house. Amidst great celebration, the foundation of the house of Yahuwah is laid, with the elders weeping at the sight of its restoration. Now, as we continued on into chapter 6, we continued with the building of the temple. You had various people, you had adversaries in chapter 6 that were enemies of Yehuda and Benjamin, and they tried to stop. They said the work is halted, and they did it through false accusations, and the building during the reign of Artaxerxes. And then we have the prophets Haggai and Zechariah. They were encouraging the people to resume the work despite the opposition. And then Darius, the sovereign, searches for the original decree of Koresh and confirms the right to rebuild. And then Darius, with the support of him, the house of Yahuwah is completed, and a grand dedication is held. Now, that is when chapter 7 hits, and the Passover is finally kept in Jerusalem. The children of Israel gather in Jerusalem to observe the Pesach, the Passover, according to the Torah of Moshe. The purification, the priests and the Levites purify themselves, and the people, ensuring that all are clean to partake in the offering. And there's great joy in Israel. And this same great joy is because people are coming back in covenant with the Creator of the universe. And that is the great joy, guys. That is the joy of this world and the world to come, is that we have not been abandoned. We have not been left alone. We are not just stuck here with a whole bunch of devils and demons that hate the will of our Creator, but we are able to be those minnows that flow against the sharks and go back against all of these other schools of fish that are just coming in the same direction. We can swim against this, and there is a way forward. Now, chapter 8, we have Ezra, the great Ezra. He came to restore the Torah observance. And Ezra is set by the sovereign. He's set by the sovereign because he knows the Torah. And those who know the Torah become very important people, because most people don't know the Torah. When you ask all these so-called fake religious system people what's wrong with the Torah of our Creator, they're like, well, it's dead. It's nailed to the cross. We don't have to observe it. That's the thing of old, Jason. Don't worry about that. And when you say, but it says for all generations, all peoples, all races, all families, all creeds, everybody, and that if you obey it, you will have promises, you will have blessings. But if you disobey it, you will fall under the curses. And some of the curses are physical, some of them are definitely spiritual. But continuing on into 7, The census returns. Ezra gathers all the exiles who are willing to return and purify themselves. And then the journey to Jerusalem, they ended up going with all their silver and gold and all their stuff. And Ezra was so confident in the hand of our Creator that he did not ask the king for guards, even though they're going across the roads of robbers and bandits and those who are willing to take them out. And these guys aren't soldiers. They're just people that are when you deal with robbers and bandits, they're going to come aggressively. They're going to come with weapons that are going to mess with you. But they had enough faith that they knew our Creator was going to take care of them. And upon arrival, they present the gold and the silver and the offerings to the house of Yahuwah. And then, chapter 9 is the intermarriage with foreign women, is what Ezra discovered. He discovered that many of the Yisrael, including the priests and Levites, had taken foreign wives, violating the Torah of Yahuwah. And then Ezra laments. In deep sorrow, Ezra rips his garments, rips his beard, rips his hair, falls down flat, and fasts. And the people are moved by Ezra's prayer. They repent and agree to put away their foreign wives to restore purity and obedience of Yahuwah. And then the final covenant renewal and final restoration. A covenant is made. The people of Yisrael, under Ezra's leadership, make a covenant to follow the Torah and separate from foreign influences. The list of those who return, a final listing is provided of those who came back from exile and committed to the covenant. With the renewed covenant, the people celebrate the restoration of the house of Yahuwah and the rebuilding of the temple of Jerusalem. Okay, so with that, guys, let us get into this marvelous reading, into this wonderful words of our Creator, as our dear brother, Mr. Ezra, had to go to some great lengths to ever get this information. This is the second book of Ezra, chapter 1. And for those who like to jibe me when I'm talking about these names, I'm not going to get them all right. I am not perfected in a lot of these, but I do the very best that I can. And so as we read through them, I'm sure I get them wrong, but my apologies to you. And much love out there to you all. Jessica, I got your note. I know that I know you're ribbing me on this, and I'll do the best that I can. So here we are, guys. The second book of the Navi Ezra. Now, Navi is prophet, is the proper way of actually saying prophet. So the second book of the Navi Ezra, son of Sariah, son of Azariah, son of Kilikiah, son of Shalom, son of Zadok, son of Akituv, son of Akiah, son of Pinchas, son of Eli, son of Amariah, son of Azariah, son of Merimoth, son of Arna, son of Uzi, son of Buki, son of Avishua, Pinchas, son of Eleazar, son of Aaron, of the tribe of Lui, who was captive in the land of the Madites in the reign of Artaxerxes, sovereign of Paras. So that gives us the lineage of our dear brother and legend, Ezra. And it came right from the tribe of Aaron, right down the line. And just like all scriptures, give us incredible historical lineage. And it's very important we have this, because this is how we get to where our Messiah is able to go through his lineage all the way back to the same format. And the word of Yahuwah came to me saying, go your way and show my people their sinful deeds and their children their wickedness, which they have done against me, that they may tell their children's children. Okay, this is, one of these things in scriptures for all of the billions and billions and billions of people that have no laws of our Creator. It has always been that we have laws for all generations. All of us that grew up in captivity, if your parents didn't raise you up in the Torah, by default, they have failed. When their parents did not raise them up in Torah, they failed. When their parents' did not raise them up in Torah, they have all failed. And as we see this, what we fall under is we fall under the generational curses. We fall under things that are problems because we were not raised in Torah. We did not know the ways of our Creator. which is why when we start keeping Torah, it is literally a breath of fresh air. It is like the most freeing thing you guys can ever have, because it is freeing. It is liberty. It is the Torah of understanding. And when we are in understanding and we know what our Creator wants, then we don't have to go, man, I hope when we die we're going to be saved. I hope we're not going to be rejected from the kingdom, because if we are doing everything possible here on these lands of testing that we have been given, then rejection hopefully will be far less. But we need to engage salvation with trembling, with fear, with a clean heart, with a clean soul, with a clean mind, with a clean temple. It's why we are the temples of the Most High, and we need to keep them pure in all things. Continuing on, this is what our Creator is talking to Ezra about. Because the sins of their fathers are increased in them, for they have forgotten me, and have offered to foreign mighty ones. Am not I even he who brought them out of the land of Mitzrayim from the house of bondage? But they have provoked me to wrath, and despised my counsels. Pull off the hair from your head, and throw all evil upon them, for they have not been obedient to my law, but are a rebellious people. Now, when you mention things of this nature to the Christians, they have been programmed in a cult. And the rejection immediately comes that, no, we're not rebellious. We don't need the laws because we have a new way. We have the Jesus. And the Jesus tells us we don't need to have the laws because he made all food clean, and he was fighting the Sadducees and the Pharisees, which means we don't have to keep the laws either. Most people that are in this cult do not understand that the Pharisees and Sadducees were in a cult as well. What they exiled when they came out of Babylon is they came out with this thing called the Oral Torah. And in the Oral Torah, they have things like the Kabbalah, the Zohar, which are all literally black magic style things. They're a little tree of life. When you are in Judaism, you pack around with you a tremendous amount of doctrines, which is why when Brother Shaul, Paul's writings are oftentimes very confusing, because he mixes in Judaism along with regular stuff, which is why you will see things in Paul's writings about what it takes to qualify a widow, that women shouldn't speak in an assembly, that people need to have their heads covered, right? That's all part of another doctrine, and that is what our Messiah was fighting. When all food was made clean, when they put that in parentheses, and those are the evil, bad scribes that do that, it has nothing to do with food. It had 100% to do with washing your hands before eating. And that was what the entire premise of that chapter was about. So it's not saying that food that is not considered food is good. It's not saying that at all. Now, continuing on. 9. How long shall I endure them, to whom I have done so much good? I have destroyed many sovereigns for their sakes. I have struck down Pharaoh with his servants and all his strength. I have destroyed all the nations before them, and in the east I have scattered the people of 2 provinces, even of Zor and Zidon, and have slain all their enemies. Therefore you speak to them, saying, Thus says YHWH, I led you through the sea, and from the beginning gave you a wide and safe passage. I gave you Moshe for a leader, and Aaron for a Kohanan. I gave you light in a pillar of fire, and I have done great wonders among you. Yet you have forgotten me, says YHWH. Thus says YHWH the Almighty, the quails were as a sign to you. I gave you booths for your safety. Still you grumbled, and did not overcome in my name for the destruction of your enemies. But even to this day you still grumble. Where is the good that I have done for you? When you were hungry and thirsty in the wilderness, did you not cry out to me, saying, Why have you brought us into the wilderness to kill us? It would have been better for us to have served the Mitzrites than to die in this wilderness. Then I took pity on your groaning, and gave you manna to eat, so you ate bread of messengers. When you were thirsty, did I not split the rock, and water flowed out to your fill? For the heat, I covered you with the leaves of the trees. I divided among you a fruitful land. I drove out the Canaanites, the Perizzites, and the Pelishites before you. What more shall I do for you, says YHWH? Thus says YHWH the Almighty, When you were in the wilderness, at the river of the Amorites, thirsting and blaspheming my name, I did not send fire for your blasphemies, but threw a branch in the water and made the river sweet. What shall I do unto you, O Yaakov? You, Yahudah, would not obey me. I shall turn myself to other nations, and to them I shall give my name, that they may guard my laws. Seeing you have forsaken me, I shall also forsake you. When you desire for me to show favor to you, I shall show no kindness to you. Guys, this is the thing about being a law keeper, right? We're not on the other side of this fence. We're not going to be under the fire and brimstone that we were told over 53 times in the first 5 books of scriptures that we need to guard the laws of our Creator. They need to be something that we will fight tooth and nail to the grave to withhold. It's something that when we fall into the trap of not guarding them, it is on us, because we have disrespected the words of our Creator and all of these things, right? We want our Creator to show us kindness, right? We want to have favor. All of us that are waking up, that have found the Torah, this is the greatest news ever, is that our Creator has called out to us and is seeking for us. He's seeking us where we are able to be found, and we can seek Him where He is able to be found. And it is in obedience. There's no other way to the kingdom except through obedience and the faith of our Messiah. It's a two-way street, and we have to occupy both lanes to make it through this gate. 26. Whenever you call upon me, I do not hear you. For you have defiled your hands with blood, and your feet are swift to commit murder. It is not as though you have forsaken me, but your own selves, says Yahuwah. Thus says Yahuwah the Almighty, have I not treated you as a father his sons, as a mother her daughters, and a nurse her young infants? That you would be my people, and I should be your Elohim? That you would be my children, and I should be your father? Guys, this is what the Torah life is about. It's about the understanding that our real Father, not these earthly fathers that let us down, and myself letting my kids down. It's not like that. This is about our real Father who has given us life, breath, blessings, and the ability to read and to hear and to pick Him, if so we choose. I gather you together as a hen gathers her chickens under her wings. But now, what shall I do to you? I shall throw you out from my presence. When you offer unto me, I shall turn my face from you. For I have rejected your Moedim, your new moons, and your circumcisions. I sent to you my servants the Neviim, whom you have taken and slain, and torn their bodies in pieces, whose blood I shall require of your hand, says Yahuwah. Thus says the Almighty, your house is laid waste. I shall cast you out as the wind does stubble. And your children shall not be fruitful, for they have despised my command and done that which is evil before me. What do we say to the Christians? Well, we should be keeping the laws. They're like, the laws are dead, nailed to the cross. You're crazy. Why do you want to go under bondage? Why do you want to put chains on you, right? That's what this satanic religion is all about, is freedom from the laws of our Creator. Freedom from keeping the greatest things that we have ever been given, that has been preserved through 6,000 years of people trying to rewrite it and to trick us. I shall give your houses to a people that shall come, who having not yet heard of me, shall believe me, to whom I have showed no signs, yet they shall do what I commanded them. Guys, this is all of us, right? This is all of us that are coming into Torah, that we didn't see the signs. We can only read about what has happened to our previous fathers and mothers and the people, our families of old. But we haven't seen it. We haven't seen the Red Sea being crossed. We haven't seen water come out of a rock when we're parched in the deserts. But I believe it. I believe it with every last being that I have. I know it happened. And I know our Creator will again do that for us as well. 36. They have seen no prophets, Neviim, yet they call their sins to remembrance and acknowledge them. I call to witness the favor of the people to come, whose little ones rejoice in gladness, and though they have not seen me with bodily eyes, yet in spirit they believe the word that I say. What is the word? right? What is the Word? The Word is the first 5 books of Scriptures. The Word is this, all of the Scriptures, right? There is nothing inside of these Scriptures that you will find outside of the words of Shaul, Paul, his letters to people who are not you, to a reply that you did not see the original letter, and people take that as their doctrine, and that becomes their God. Lowercase g God. That is who they serve. They serve Paul, Paul of Damascus, Shaul. 38. And now, brother, see what esteem and see the people that come from the east, to whom I shall give for leaders Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, Hosea, Amos, and Micaiah, and Yoel, Obadiah, and Yonah, Nahum, and Habakkuk, Zephaniah, Haggai, Zechariah, and Malachi, who is also called a messenger of Yahuwah. These are some of the legacies, some of the legends of old, those who were savages to the word of our Creator. And guys, don't get it twisted. I've had people get all upset when I say savages, that this is this. I'm talking savage in a good way. I'm not talking about those who are bloodthirsty and killers. I'm talking about those who are obedient to the ways of our Creator, those who defend the word of our Creator, those who are in Torah are the savages of the kingdom to come. We are the warriors. That is the context I am providing. This is what I am saying. So again, don't get it all twisted. Don't get all upset when I use words that you do not agree with or you do not understand what my meaning of them is. So with that, everybody, this was an amazing reading. It is always amazing. And this book is only going to get more exciting. It's going to open our eyes. We're going to see some things that we have never seen. And as we read it as a family, as we read it as a group, I hope that there's other people out there who will abandon these ways of this world, that will pick up the Torah of our Creator, that will walk in the ways of our Creator. So guys, with that, I hope you guys have a wonderful day. I hope you have a wonderful week. Until we meet again, much love to you all. Shalom, shalom, shalom.